your treasure? What is it that you treasure? What is it that you value most? What is it that matters most to you? My guess is that a few different things popped up into your mind when I asked you that question, right? I think we all know the right answers, right? Just imagine if we had a politician up here and we asked him or her, what do you treasure most? What kind of answers would a politician give, right? They'd say family, friends, faith, that kind of stuff, country, right? We know the right answers. We know the good answers that we're supposed to give. And for most of us, those are honest answers, right? I really do value my wife and my daughter, Maggie, here. I do really value this community. But my guess is that if we're honest, and we pause for some further self-reflection, some other things will come to mind too that we value, right? Things like money, like free time, maybe like a big house or a nice car, long vacations, things like certain food and drink, things like prestige and popularity and ease of life. I think most of us value these things, and a lot of these things are worth valuing to a degree. And then some of us may value some things that aren't so good to any degree. Some of us find ourselves valuing things that damage us, that hurt us, that destroy us. Where is our treasure? This is a question that I hear Jesus asking us today. And he's clear that the way we answer this question is extremely important. He says, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Where your treasure is, your heart will be also. What matters most to us, what we value the most, that's where our attention will be. That's where our mind will be. That's where we'll pour our passion, our energy, our work into that, whatever we value most. So we should be careful what we treasure. Because ultimately what we treasure, what we value, will define us. That will define really who we are, who we end up being. What we treasure will define us. And if we make maybe some not so wise choices about what we treasure might consume us too. So, what is it that we treasure? Today is Ash Wednesday. It's the beginning of the season of Lent. And the season of Lent, kind of gets a bad rap, right? When we mention Lent, people think, Lent is about being punished and feeling really guilty and going around looking really awful and just feeling bad about yourself, right? That's not really accurate. That's not what Lent is supposed to be. It might actually be that for a lot of us. But Lent is really about radical honesty, right? Accountability, self-reflection, really being clear. Who am I? Who am I really? And then maybe comparing who I am to who I want to be. And if you're anything like me, there's a gap there. Maybe it's a small gap, maybe it's a pretty big gap, maybe it's shrinking, maybe it's growing, but I don't think any of us live up to who we really want to be. Right? All of us treasure maybe some things more than we wish we did, and treasure other things less than we wish we did. Lent is a time for radical honesty, self-reflection, accountability about this. Now, in a few minutes, I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to rub some ashes on your forehead, and I'm going to say, remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. And one of you, it'll probably be Quasi, because he's got the fancy robe on, will rub ashes on my forehead, and Quasi will tell me, Scott, remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. In this short sentence, just like the ending of our gospel passage, Jesus' short sentence, right? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. This short sentence, remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return, tells us a lot. It packs a lot of meaning into a short expression. This reminder on Ash Wednesday, I think, tells us a lot about what we should not treasure. Right? What we should not treasure. Things like our power, our possessions, our prestige, right? Our popularity, our wealth, and ultimately even our own lives. It's a reminder that all these things, they come and they go. All these things are fleeting. None of these things has permanence. And so if we put all of our treasure in these things, we're putting all of our treasure, we're putting our heart into something that won't last, ultimately. So I think Lent is a time to store up our treasure somewhere else. Somewhere else. Where do we store our treasure? What do we treasure? And yes, those good answers are actually good answers, right? We should value our friends, our family, our communities, our jobs, our country, our communities of faith. Absolutely. And might go further and say, Lent is a great time to also put treasure in our relationship with God. And if you're like me, and like most people, and maybe you don't find as much time for prayer, for meditation, for the reading of Scripture as you'd like, Lent is a great time to say, you know what? I'm going to step back into that. I'm going to spend just a few more minutes each day on that. And lucky for you, tomorrow night we're starting a new contemplative prayer group at 6:30, so please join us if that interests you. So we value family, friends, our communities. We value our relationship with God. These are places that it makes more sense to put our treasure, more sense to invest our heart there. Ultimately, then, I think what we're getting at is something that we know, but we don't always want to hear, right? We should treasure honesty, love, and self-giving service. That's where our treasure ought to be, as much as it can. Where our treasure is, our heart will be also. If we treasure each other, if we treasure God, if we treasure all of God's children, then we're treasuring what is real, what is beautiful, even what's eternal. And if we instead choose to treasure wealth and power and prestige, possessions, flattery, then we're treasuring what, as Jesus puts it, moth and rust consume. So my hope for us today and throughout this season of Lent is that we will treasure each other, and that we'll treasure the God who makes us, the God who sustains us, that we'll treasure the God who treasures us,